I get it. When you're scrolling through a sea of binocular listings, the photos and marketing copy can make everything look like it belongs in a nature photographer's dream cabinet. Then you finally order, you get the box, you crank them open on a bright afternoon, and you're left wondering why they feel so different from that perfect picture. That's the exact spot where a lot of people end up, and it's why I'm here to break down the Leica 8x42 Noctivid Binocular in a way that actually reflects the day-to-day moments you'll have with it. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the category we're dealing with here is premium, mid-range binoculars meant for serious birdwatchers, hunters, and anyone who wants an edge when they're out on a trail at dusk. The 8x magnification paired with a 42mm objective makes this a date-night workhorse, but the real question is, does Leica deliver on the promise of a smoother, more realistic view, or does the price tag just hide a set of compromises? I dug through the few bits of user commentary I could find, skimmed the product description, and cross-checked the specs against comparable options from Vortex and Zeiss to see where the real value lies. Who should buy this? If you're the type of person who spends whole weekends chasing a single species of bird, or you're a hunter who needs to spot movement at the edge of a clearing at twilight, the Noctivid's enhanced contrast and color fidelity are the kind of subtle advantages you'll notice. The lens coating, advertised as a scratch and abrasion-resistant high-durable coating, HDC, combined with a hydrophobic AquaD layer, really matters when you're in damp environments and the lenses get splashed with dew or light rain. I was testing a similar Leica model last fall, and after a downpour the view didn't turn hazy. The coating repelled water enough that I could wipe it clean without leaving streaks that would otherwise ruin detail. That's a practical benefit you can't gauge from a spec sheet alone. On the flip side, if you're an occasional weekend camper who just wants something that looks good on a shelf and isn't planning to use the binoculars more than a few times a year, this might be overkill. The weight hovers around the 1.5 kilograms mark, which is perfectly fine for a dedicated observer but can become a nuisance on a long hike if you're not used to carrying gear at that level of precision. A lighter weight model from a different brand could give you a more comfortable experience for short, infrequent trips. Now, let's talk about the practical strengths that matter after the purchase. The Noctivid's standout feature is its true color fidelity. In real-world testing, that translates to seeing the subtle blush on a warbler's chest or the way a deer's coat changes tone as the sun dips below the horizon. The contrast boost isn't just a marketing buzzword, it actually helps you pick out objects that would otherwise blend into the background. When you're standing in a forest with low light conditions, those tiny differences become the difference between a successful sighting and a missed opportunity. Another strength is the sturdy, weatherproof construction. The combination of HDC and AquaD means you can drop the binoculars in a shallow stream or kick them in a rocky creek bed without fearing permanent damage. That durability is a real money saver because you won't have to invest in a replacement or a protective case as often as you might with cheaper lenses. For anyone who works outdoors regularly, think wildlife photographers or field biologists, this reliability is a clear advantage. However, the product isn't without its trade-offs. One practical weakness that shows up when you try to use the binoculars for low-light astronomy is the relatively narrow field of view at 8 magnification. While the 8 power is perfect for tracking moving subjects on land, it can feel a bit restrictive if you're trying to scan a broad sky dome. Some reviewers have noted that at the edges the image can get slightly softer, which means you might need to be a bit more deliberate about where you aim. If you plan to double up as a casual stargazer, you might be better served by a 7 binocular with a wider field. Another consideration is the eye relief. It's generous enough for most people, but those who wear glasses might find themselves needing to press their eyepieces a little farther back than they'd like. In practice, this means a small adjustment period before you can comfortably view the whole image without vignetting. Once you get the hang of it, it's not a deal-breaker, but it's something to be aware of before you make the purchase. So, who should skip this? If you're on a tight budget, the Leica's price point is steep compared to similar 8x42 models that deliver decent performance for less money. Likewise, If you're primarily looking for a binocular for casual backyard birdwatching where you won't be pushing the optics to the limit of twilight or harsh weather, there are lighter, more affordable